Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Cambridge and Sean is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
The Dick Tracy Show.
Hello and welcome to Cambridge and with Sean, a podcast by two weird guys about the weird things they like. I am Ronnie, otherwise known as Skelevator on the YouTubes, and I'm here with my pal Mark.
Hi, everybody. I don't know what that was.
Two creeps creeping out.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of our listeners because I ran into them yesterday. Mutual friends of ours, Steve and Rebecca Shepard, listened to the show, and Steve was trying to get information out of me about what we were going to be recording today. And I said, you're just going to have to tune in and listen.
You gotta have patience, Steve. Patience.
He said his favorites are One Plastic Rock Ball.
Yeah. Well, that's everyone's favorite.
And Micronauts.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, none of your things made the list because nobody cares about Masters of the Universe.
I just haven't talked about punk rock yet. We're getting there.
Oh, there you go.
Then that'll get him. That'll grab that guy. You know, a little shout out to Steven because his band Trash and Privilege is really good. And they've been playing shows, putting out some really good punk rock. So everybody go find Trash. It's like Toys R Us. It's Trash and Privilege. Privilege.
Trash. Privilege.
Trash. Privilege. Brilliant name for a band. And they're doing really good stuff. And they're so much fun.
Cool.
I feel lucky to know them. They're doing good things.
And also hello to, I don't know if Courtney listens to the show. I know she listens to Wake Up Heavy, but I also saw her yesterday as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you're listening, Courtney, hello, and thanks for coming to my dad's memorial. And Steve and Becca. That's where I saw those folks. So
nice.
Anywho.
All good people.
Yep.
Today, we have some interesting things to talk about. All stuff that is plastic. Well, partially, to a certain extent.
Is yours plastic?
Some of it is. Some of it's plastic.
Okay.
And some of yours is plastic.
All of mine is plastic.
Although it comes from a non-plastic source.
Plastic Fantastic. The plastic... What is that? Plastic. Oh, I have to look that up. I'm thinking of... there's something... what is it? Plastic Fantastic?
I know what you're talking about.
Or a song or an album?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. I'll look it up and have my computer tell us what the hell I'm doing.
Can your computer voice come on and tell us?
Sorry, I have no idea what the boys are talking about here.
I'm going to have another sip of coffee because, we're old and it's the morning. Mark, what is on your agenda for today's discussion?
Today, I am talking about something that has been on my list for quite a while. One of the original things I wrote down when we started talking about doing this show, I wanted to jot down as many childhood things as I could remember. While I was remembering them, it just kept getting pushed back for other items, whether it was to be more in line with what you were going to talk about, or if something had popped up recently that was more intriguing to me, or I found on eBay or whatever. I know I did some research and was looking up photos and sourced some images for these items. Also bought some on eBay, vaguely mentioned it at one point, like, oh, I got this thing, but I haven't talked about them yet, so I didn't mention it on our Christmas episode because I hadn't done an episode on these yet, but I had bought them last year. So anyway, it's headgear again, not top hats, but plastic baseball helmets.
Oh, yeah.
Now I was looking up the pronunciation of this, and I think it maybe depends on the origination. Is that a word?
It is now. You heard it on Cambridge and with Sean. Origination.
So it's Laich, which for maybe Anglo-Saxons it would be lake, but yeah, I always want to say like for some reason, like given that AI, the long I sound, or it could be Laich or Leich.
Leish.
On the good old internet, it says lake. So Lake Industries, which was, I think, a subdivision of, got it here on my bag, Sports Products Corp from Cleveland, Ohio, back in the, early to mid 60s, because actual batting helmets weren't really a thing until around that time.
Mm-hmm.
But once they became the standard for baseball players so that they didn't get brain damage.
Yeah, necessary.
The next logical step was to create novelty items and sell them and make money.
Yeah.
So they did this. When I was a kid, one of the things that I would always look at Toys R Us, son of a bitch.
What happened?
I don't know if that came through on your end.
No, I didn't hear anything.
God damn it. Getting a fucking phone call and it's coming through on my computer.
Let's leave that in. Getting a fucking phone call.
So when I was a kid, one of the things I loved to look at in the Toys R Us and Fashion Fair, and I believe this is why I was looking for Fashion Fair pictures a couple of months back when I found the answer to my video store name in Sunnyside, and it was because of these helmets, I think. So that was one of the times that I was considering talking about this.
I have a question. Did you ever find photos of Toys R Us and Fashion Fair?
No.
Yeah, I can't remember it. I tried looking too. I cannot remember a Toys R Us and Fashion Fair.
Oh, it was there for a long time. Man. That's where I got tons of, other than Arthur's Toys, but whenever we would go to the mall, I would go. It wasn't very big.
Right.
And later on, it became KB Toys.
Got it. Yeah, I remember KB. Yeah,
so it was down on that end of the mall. Other than actual toys, whenever we would go to Toys R Us, I would go to the display for these helmets. They were pretty much like front and center display, like end cap display right when you walked in. This was the large size helmets that you could actually wear. So the reproduction helmets of the teams at the time. Man, I was so drawn in by that plastic of these helmets. It was the look of them. I was a baseball kid. I played Little League when I grew up, and my dad and I watched baseball. My favorite team in the 70s was the Los Angeles Dodgers because that was his team.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in LA, so I know that he and his dad went to LA Dodger games, and it was a great team back in the 70s. So that was my main goal, was to have an LA Dodgers reproduction batting helmet, which I had as a kid.
That's so cool.
And then the rest of them were kind of based on design, really. And I don't think you can beat the 70s for mascot and logo designs in baseball and football.
I completely agree.
And maybe basketball. I never watched basketball as a kid on TV. We watched football and baseball. The logos and the mascots, I had a Baltimore...
That doesn't sound right.
I had a Baltimore Orioles one. No interest in the Baltimore Orioles other than the design of the helmet.
Yeah.
This black and orange and white, and the logo, is very cartoony.
Yep.
Now they just all have the letters of their city or whatever, an O for Orioles. It's like, that's boring. I mean, LA's is boring in comparison, other than the fonts. That was the other thing, a stylish font. Cincinnati, their C was interesting. Pirates had a cool
definitely
font. Those things just really, every time we went, I would look at those. I had at least 3. So LA, Baltimore Orioles, I think I had a San Francisco Giants hat, and I want to say the Minnesota Twins as well. And
that's cool.
Those were because of the colors and the style of the helmet, not because I was fans of those teams.
Yeah, San Francisco Giants, orange and black. It's hard to get better than that. That's so cool.
And we would wear them, my best friend and I, when we would play catch or hit a ball around or whatever, we would wear those plastic batting helmets. They came with the strap thing so that it would fit on your head. Otherwise, it just would have rolled around and fallen off. Kind of like the construction worker strap that was adjustable.
Adjustable too, yeah. I remember that.
They were adjustable, kind of like an adjustable soft cap. I just loved, you talk about tactile things a lot.
Yes.
And for me, that brings that tactile memory, that hard, I guess, polypropylene plastic that they're made out of. And they're super shiny, felt nice in your hand. You tap them and they had a nice sound. I don't know when I ended up getting rid of those. Probably around the same time I got rid of everything else.
Yeah.
As we were kind of talking off air before this recording, you mentioned that there were other sizes.
Yep.
They also had the kind, and they still do this. It's not the same company. I think Rawlings or one of their subsidiaries or something does these now. But if you go to a ballpark or if you go to an ice cream shop,
I was just going to say ice cream.
You can get the kind that is a bowl, basically. Yeah. And so I had a number of those as a kid as well. And if you went to Baskin-Robbins, I think Dairy Queen would do this as well, but we never really went there as a kid. Go to Baskin-Robbins, get a scoop or a couple scoops of ice cream, maybe pay 50 more cents for the baseball helmet. I liked them, but I also didn't like them because they were flat on the bottom.
Right.
To be a bowl so you could set it down. It wasn't realistic because of that flat thing. I don't think I kept any of those. Like, I didn't have a collection of those. I would just get them when we would get ice cream or whatever, and then they probably ended up getting thrown away.
They're in the trash heap right outside of Fresno right now.
Still in perfect shape because, as we've discussed, plastic does not.
Exactly. I had some of the ice cream bowls for sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember which teams, but it was probably Giants because that's what my family was into back when I was that age. But yeah, I love those. I think I even delighted in trying to put them on the top of my head as like little teeny tiny hats. And even though they did have the flat bottom, but I agree with you. The tactile quality of those little helmets, of the big ones, the regular size ones too, is just so cool. I had this weird fascination with baseball as a kid, not as a game, but as in thinking about the tools of the game. And I think it started with, I got a cake when I was very little, and I got a baseball. There were some baseballs, and it was a baseball design, like a baseball diamond. So little plastic baseballs and little plastic baseball bats. I mean, nightmare for parents, I'm sure, with kids swallowing them and stuff. But I think I held on to one or two of those baseballs and baseball bats for a very, very long time, like deep into like my early teens. I had them on the shelf. There's just something about them. And I'm not a sports guy. There was something about the tools of baseball, the catcher's padding that they wore in the front, the catcher's helmet, like you said, the helmet when you're at bat, the style of clothing that they wore, and the baseballs themselves. Like, I delight in holding a baseball. I don't enjoy playing baseball, but I love holding a baseball.
Yeah.
And I have a baseball bat right by my bed. That's mainly for, like,
so do I.
Just in case type of thing.
Yeah, I just got my dad's Louisville Slugger that he kept under his bed for decades. It was when we moved my mom a couple weeks ago. I was like, "Ooh, I'm taking this home," because all I had under my bed was a a novelty bat from a Dodger game that we all went to that's like, I would split over somebody's head and not even hurt them if I hit them. But this one that I got from my dad will take somebody out if I can manage to hit him in the head.
I have one, too, that's been in the family for decades. It's got a little Atari advertisement on it. It's beautiful and it's wooden. And those novelty bats too. Like I was obsessed with those too.
That's why I still have. That's one thing that survived. I've always held on to that little Dodgers novelty bat. It's probably about maybe 18 inches, maybe not that big, but something about holding it is fun.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the catcher's gear, and I think that's a big part of why I became a catcher in Little League. Was to be able to put all that gear on.
So cool. I mean,
and I ended up being a good catcher, so it worked out well for my dad.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. Yeah, I've never had a talent for sports, and so I've always been lousy at them, even when I was put into the teams as a kid, and I never wanted to do it. But man, I could stare at a baseball mitt for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, these artifacts are amazing.
There is something very, I don't want to say stylish, but there is something to that sport in particular.
Yeah, I agree.
That has an aesthetic appeal, especially again back even earlier than the 70s, but the pinstripes for a lot of the uniforms.
So cool.
The stirrup socks. And in Little League, all we got was a jersey shirt with our name on it. But once you got into the major leagues, you actually got a uniform. And I couldn't wait to be able to wear stirrup socks. And anyway, the third size, maybe there's more. I know about the full size reproduction hats, the ice cream bowls, and then there are the capsule toy size helmets. Now,
otherwise known as Mego sized.
No, unfortunately, no.
They're a little too big for that.
Yeah, these were one of those ubiquitous things like Tutti Fruities or Munch Bunch or whatever you want to call those pencil toppers and all that other stuff that you would be able to get when you were walking out of the store and had a quarter in your pocket and you go buy the capsule toy machines. And so there were baseball helmets and football helmets, which I had a few of as a kid as well, but they didn't really trigger anything in me that much. And I think, I know that stores also had displays of these little counter displays that the helmets fit into. But I loved getting these things as a kid. I believe I had an LA Dodgers one as a kid. And it was, of course, luck of the draw. You drop your quarter in and you have no idea what team you're going to get. Could be your most hated team, the rival of your favorite team or whatever. One of the things that I would search for on eBay when it rolled around, and I started thinking about the things that gave me joy and pleasure as a kid. Oh, yeah, little mini baseball helmets. So I would look them up from time to time. And of course, most of them are beat up. And then, they've been made over the years by different companies. And now once the helmet started to change where if you watch a game now, it's like everybody's got a matte finish on their helmet. Yep. They're not the shiny plastic, and they all have ear guards. These, I loved the ones that didn't have ear guards as a kid. They just looked cooler to me.
Yeah.
You stumble on all that kind of newer stuff on eBay, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that. So when I was looking, because of our show, single ones would come up or batches of them, and they'd all be beat up. But there were bagged versions. So I bought a bag of 26, I think, helmets.
That's incredible.
For less than $20, so basically $1 a piece. And it's a little bit later. I think these are from like 84, 85. So a lot of the logos have been simplified and changed. Once you got out of the 70s, they, like I said, started just doing H for Houston instead of a neat Astros symbol or something. Some of these still have old logos like this Blue Jay one. A whole bag for however many teams there were at that point. And then I just kind of pulled out some of my favorites, like this Phillies one, mainly because of the color.
That style P is amazing.
So that's got a cool font on it. And then the Pirates one, because it's a solid yellow with black. Sometimes they're black with a yellow P.
Yep.
I think when I was a kid, some of them were pretty intricate. Like they would actually have the whole Baltimore Orioles thing with the different colors, because some of them would have this sort of triangular thing that would start at the top and go down to the bill with the logo right in the center of it and might have 3 colors. And these are much more simplified. I think there's all the light blues are basically the same and the reds are the same red. And then there's like a dark blue and some blacks in here. You know, New York Yankees is a very
I love that
iconic.
logo.
And then the Giants is very simplified to just SF on a black hat. So they're a little bit simpler than I would have liked. I probably would have preferred something from a decade or so earlier, but can't beat $20 for a set of those.
$20 for all of those. Like, that's such a great deal. And that they're from 85 or whatever.
If I looked at the team, 1984, copyright 1984.
Nice.
Oh, that Twins one is pretty cool, actually. Anyway, I would have preferred late 70s because that's when I was a fan. And the helmets were a little more interesting. But you mentioned, Mego sized, and they are most definitely not. And that was the one thing that always bugged me about these because I mainly had Megos as a kid. I did have one G.I. Joe, and I don't think it fits them either. I have a Atomic Man G.I. Joe figure, and I tried to put it on him, and it barely fits. It's a little bit undersized.
Big. Oh, undersized.
Yeah, no, the helmets are undersized for $6 Million Man, Oscar Goldman. No. Yeah. So they didn't really fit on anything, and that was bothersome to me because I know I wanted to incorporate them in play. They're way too big for Megos. I should try my Big Jim, but I think they're too big for those as well.
Yeah, you gotta try.
Unfortunately, I don't know. There may have been a figure somewhere out there at the time that they would have fit on. I think the football helmets, you had a better chance of actually getting them on a figure. And there were sports figures back then that came with their own football helmets, which is a whole other thing.
Scoop Wilson here with the play-by-play on the season's biggest baseball event. Baskin-Robbins Baseball Helmet Sundays. A double play of your favorite ice cream flavors. There's action on the mound now as a flight is poured on and the toppings hit home. Best of all, you get your sundae served in a mini baseball helmet. Choose your favorite teams or collect all 26. Baskin-Robbins, you're batting 1,000. A 2-scoop sundae served in a mini baseball helmet. And the helmet's free.
I didn't really get into sports until the late 80s, early 90s as a thing to be interested in or wear or collect, like sports stuff. I mean, I had the baseball and the baseball bat, little tiny cake toppers. But then when my mom married my second stepfather, he was just totally obsessed with sports. I mean, it consumed him in a considerable way. And he was all about the 49ers and San Francisco Giants. And I was like trying to find ways to bond with him. And so I found ways to become interested in those teams. And that's right around the time, I believe, where starting lineup action figures started to show up in stores. And also, that's when I discovered the ice cream hats and the souvenir baseball bats. And to this day, I think I prefer wearing baseball caps over any other style hat, although I wear the kind of floppy dad style ones. There was something about the plastic helmets that really struck me too, and I totally collected those. And I put quarter in the machine and got the small ones too. It didn't matter what team. It was just something about having them on the shelf.
The plastic of these is just so appealing to me for some reason.
Yeah, it's a tactile thing.
And visual, just how shiny they are. And it's a weird concept. Like, why?
Yeah.
They're reflecting all of the light coming in from my room. I can see the window reflections in them. And that was super appealing as a kid for whatever reason.
It's probably not a super high quality plastic. It's probably similar to the plastic that they use for Easter eggs and stuff like that. But there's something about it. It's like holding it, right?
No, it's a little bit thicker than that. It's more substantial. Those things crack so easily. Easter eggs, you'd have to really push on one of these to break it. I don't know if it's just because they're thicker, but it is probably a similar plastic. But these things are going to last. We know they're going to last forever, unless I were to step on them or something. But yeah, they're just fun to look at, and it gives me immense pleasure to look down and see these things shining back at me.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
They're beautiful objects. It's crazy.
the shape of them, is so appealing too. The roundness and the bill, and I don't know, it's a weird thing. Yeah, I got back into baseball caps, I think after I graduated from Fresno State.
Mm-hmm.
I started trying to find, and I don't know if it was they were coming out at this time or if it was just me looking for them. Like you could get a Brooklyn Dodgers hat, retro style stuff. So I think I had Brooklyn Dodgers and I had a Boston Red Sox, like old timey hats, like that were not the adjustable kind that were like made to fit my head, the right size for my head. It didn't last super long. I have pictures of me in the 90s on a lot of them. I'm wearing a baseball cap. And it's kind of funny that I talk about headwear or have on this show, and I hardly ever wear hats anymore. Like, I don't leave the house with a hat on my head. I probably should since I'm balding, but I don't. I don't like it, actually.
Yeah. I find myself feeling more comfortable sometimes wearing a hat for some reason, even though it's a mindset. It's not because I don't really feel like I have to take it off every once in a while and like itch my head. And like, I just feel like it's a little bit uncomfortable physically, but I don't know why I feel like it's a safety thing. I don't know what it is. It's like I'm trying to think of that term, a safety blanket. No, that's not the right term. Comfort thing. I don't know. There's a phrase for that. Like, dang it. What is that?
You mean like what Linus has?
Yeah, like what Linus has. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I can't
for that.
I know there is, and we'll have the computer inserted here when one of us eventually thinks of it.
The term these geniuses can't think of is security blanket.
Anyways, like I feel very comfortable being out in the world with something on the top of my head for some reason, and I prefer the baseball cap style, but the soft, adjustable kind, the more affordable kind.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've recently ordered on eBay a trucker style Disneyland hat from the 1980s. And that made me very happy. And I also got one from the 90s as well. So I don't know why I'm in this phase right now of thinking about souvenir hats from the 80s and the 90s, but I am.
Clean those things before you put them on your head, man.
Absolutely. What's that growing off of your head? You know what we forgot to mention or forgot to talk about is any updates from between the last episode and this episode. Anything exciting come up for you between then and now, like that pertains to previous episodes?
I don't think so. And if there is, it's probably something that I'm saving for our Christmas episode.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because last time we talked about our journey to Clovis and stuff. I don't really have anything new. I might, but if I do, it's I know I've gotten a couple things, but those will be talked about on our holiday special.
Revealed at a later date.
Yeah. I've got to start making my list of crap that I've bought this year.
Having a show like this does not help with us and our drive to collect, that's for sure.
And hopefully it doesn't help you guys either.
That's right. Hopefully you'll get out there, be inspired, and
buy some Micronauts and whatever else.
That's right, Steven Shepard. Micronauts. Grab a couple.
So, what are you bringing to the table this episode?
Well, mine is not related at all to yours, but it is in my mind because right around the time that I was starting to get into this, to what you just talked about, those plastic helmets and baseball collectibles, I had just gone through my 1989 Batmania phase with the Batman movie having come out, and I was, recollecting Batman comics, and I really got in deep with that stuff. This was kind of a really, really crazy time for me because I was just grabbing on to what was being fed to me through the pop culture machine. I guess right around this time, Bo Jackson was a huge sports figure anything that he was doing, I was interested in, partially because of my stepfather. And, and those plastic helmets were showing up on my little shelf. And 1990, Dick Tracy hit, and I went crazy. I went from Batmania and entered into Dick Tracy.
To Dickmania?
Dickmania, exactly. Went from Batmania to Dickmania.
Oh, you set that up for me so well.
It doesn't even end there. I mean, as like people in the toy community talk about Dick Tracy and their things that they picked up, it's always like, here's another dick pic for you. And so it's like Dick Tracy will never end as far as inappropriate jokes go.
Yeah,
but
as it should be.
As it should be, right? Because that's part of who we are.
From Touchstone Pictures, let's go! Big Boy Caprice, Flat Top, Prune Face, Mumbles, Lips Manless, and The Blank are out to get the greatest detective of all time.
I'm rubbing him out.
I want him dead!
Nobody touches Tracy but me. Tracy.
Tracy?
You mind if I call you Dick?
When it's time to fight crime, he's your man. Warren Beatty is Dick Tracy, rated PG.
That movie was announced. I was already reading Starlog and movie magazines and Cinefantastique, and it was piggybacking off of movie nerds being super excited about the special effects, the practical special effects in Batman 1989 and the makeup effects for the Joker. I guess Dick Tracy could best be described as Batman on steroids. All the stylized cinematography and art direction was over the top. The special effects makeup for all the villains was over the top, as it had to be, because the villains that were created for the Chester Gould comic strips going back to the 30s were all super weird villains. Most of them were
disfigured in some way or another. Exactly. Like exaggerated characteristics, so much so that they were mutated. Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that they had gone all out to recreate these villains with special effects makeup. I believe it even earned an Academy Award for special effects makeup and art direction, which makes sense because that's just a spectacular movie to watch. The quality of the writing and the everything else is up for debate, but it's such an interesting movie to watch. I'm going to talk about the movie itself in a little bit, but
there's one thing I remember from the movie, and I'll mention it when you talk about the movie. So just remind me.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully I don't step on your toes with that, because I've got a lot of stuff here.
You might mention it, so if you do, I won't bother. But
alrighty.
One thing about the art direction that always kind of stuck out to me.
That's good. I'm glad you're going to bring it up. I went headfirst into this. I didn't have any interest in Dick Tracy up until 1990. I was aware of Dick Tracy. I thought it was cool because I read comic strips, and we've mentioned with Planet of the Apes, and I think about this all the time. Like, you don't even have to have watched any Planet of the Apes to know Planet of the Apes. And it was sort of like that with the profile of Dick Tracy and the video watch and the villains like Flat Top.
Prune Face. No. Is there a Prune Face, or am I thinking of Star Wars?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a Prune Face.
Okay,
yeah,
I thought so.
For sure. Prune Face, definitely one of those characters that was just part of our visual history, I guess, or pop culture history, just there. So I was familiar with it. And then when Warren Beatty announced that the movie was coming out, or that they were working on it, when the images started showing up, the villains and the color and the set design and all that stuff, I just, because of what Tim Burton had already sort of instilled in my brain about stylized set design and art direction, I got really, really, really excited. I believe it's right around the time when Nothing But Trouble came out too. That was 89 or 88, I think. Maybe it was 90. But Nothing But Trouble, I'm looking forward, by the way, to your episode on Nothing But Trouble, by the way. So, folks, you should go over and listen to the episodes on the Chasing Chevy podcast that Mark's doing with his pals over there, and that's just been a lot of fun. I'm like on pins and needles, honestly, waiting for Nothing But Trouble.
You got a while. We haven't even recorded that episode, so
I know you're not looking forward to it, but I am. I love that movie, by the way. I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but It's all about the special effects makeup, and I just was super excited about those villains. Flat Top and Prune Face and crazy actors getting into these characters. Like, the cast is unbelievable. I'm just going to read it off. Warren Beatty, Seymour Cassell. You and I love Seymour Cassell. Michael Pollard. Love Michael Pollard. He's in there. Charles Durning, Dick Van Dyke, Madonna, Kathy Bates, Dustin Hoffman, James Caan. James Caan I'd forgotten about, actually, because I haven't actually watched this movie in ages, and we'll get to that in a little bit. William Forsythe, who I absolutely love. He plays Flat Top. Mandy Patinkin, of all people. Paul Sorvino, Catherine O'Hara, and, of course, Al Pacino plays the big bad, or the almost big bad. There's another big bad in the movie, the Blank, which is the other big bad, like just a person without a face. I mean, crazy. I just was super into all of that. When I went to see the movie, I was a little disappointed because so many of the characters I was looking forward to seeing on the screen, the iconic villains, and some of them were killed off right at the beginning, and some of them didn't have as big a roles as I wanted them to have, and it was, more about Madonna and Warren Beatty and that whole thing. It was a showcase for Warren Beatty to be cool, I guess. That didn't really fly.
Yeah.
Didn't really succeed. And I don't understand this, so I guess I'll get into this now, but the movie's not really available for streaming anywhere. You can order it on Blu-ray or DVD, but the prices are not reasonable, and it's been discontinued. It's not on Disney Plus, which is surprising because I believe that for a while Disney owned the rights, at least to advertise the film. They had one thing that I have fond memories of. My family and I went to Disneyland around this time, and there was a live show of Dick Tracy. It was super cheesy. But I recently found YouTube videos of that and watched some clips of that, really low quality, late 80s, early 90s VHS quality, and it's really embarrassing, actually. But I was excited about it as a kid. So they had a ton of souvenirs at Disneyland at the time. So I'm surprised that Disney can't post it on Disney Plus. There might be a variety of reasons. There's some stuff in there in the movie that is...
I don't think they are concerned about that anymore, Ronnie.
You don't think so?
No, because they're partnered with Hulu. There's all kinds of stuff that you can watch via Disney Plus that's on Hulu that is, trust me, 10 times worse than whatever is in Dick Tracy.
Yeah, you're right. The thing I'm thinking about is that when the movie came out, or right after the movie came out, it's about, not right after, but about 5 years after, toy collectors, so I haven't even gotten into this yet, but there was a run of toys by Playmates, came out in 1990, right along with the film. All the villains were there. There was a Madonna action figure. Spoiler alert, she's the Blank. She's the other big bad. It's revealed at the end. That action figure was never available in the United States, so it's highly sought after. It's kind of a grail piece for some people that collected this stuff. But there was one figure that for a while just skyrocketed in price. It was nearly impossible to find, and that was the character the Tramp, or Steve the Tramp, actually, who, if you watch the movie, Dick Tracy rescues an orphan from this Tramp character, this evil homeless man had captured him. And actually, the description of this character on the back of the card says something along the lines of, children are not safe around this man. It was an action figure of a homeless guy who's a kidnapper, and he was taken off of shelves. He was deemed inappropriate, and therefore, if you had the action figure for a while, you couldn't find him for anything less than like $55, and that was priced back then. Now you can get him for like $3 online, which I did. I have a little box right here I haven't opened yet.
Great.
Yeah,
You've
right.
got a toy of a pedophile. That's wonderful, Ronnie. That's wonderful.
So I can see why there were certain issues with that character.
It's a rights issue. It has nothing to do with anything inside the movie itself. I can guarantee you that.
I'm concerned about that because I was just thinking like how much fun it would be to watch it again, and I don't know if I'm willing to drop $20 on a DVD just to watch it once.
Yeah, you're like me that way.
Yeah, I know. I would rather. I mean, we live in an era where this stuff, like, why sit on the rights?
Why is Warren Beatty sitting on the rights?
Why is Warren Beatty sitting on the rights?
Okay,
Why?
So have you seen the TCM things that he's done?
No.
He has to perform as the character like every 10 years.
What?
Hold on to the rights. So he has done things on TCM where he is dressed up as Dick Tracy. And I think the last one was a couple of years ago. And it might have been during the pandemic. So it was like a Zoom call that he did into TCM as Dick Tracy so that he can retain the rights of the character.
That's incredible. I wish people could see my face right now. That is
surprised you don't know this, Mr. Dick Tracy fan.
Mr. Dick guy. I'm not a huge Dick. That's a part of this. I'm not a huge Dick Tracy fan. Like, I have never, Bobby on the Frenzy, if you're listening to this, Bobby knows this. I'm not a huge Dick Tracy fan. I'm a fan of the movie, and I'm a fan of all the stuff that happened when the movie came out. And that's part of the reason why I ordered 3 little Playmates action figures here. I've never read the comics in depth. I didn't even know that there was. Did you know this either? There was a 1966 pilot that is basically using all the same sets as Batman 1966.
I think I have heard about this actually.
It never aired. It never got picked up. But it's basically like it's filmed exactly like the Batman television series. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know about that until recently. I mean, I haven't had the urgency to try and find videos of the live performance at Disneyland until last week. A little shout out to Bobby Dangerously on YouTube. He's doing this serialized sort of detective noir stories. It's kind of like Dick Tracy, but it's also ventures into the supernatural, like there are monsters and creatures, and it's really, really fascinating. And it's been pushing that nostalgia button for me to think about Dick Tracy again recently. And so that's why I'm talking about him today, actually, because of Bobby's serialized YouTube show, which I'm finally able to listen to because it's a podcast now too. So I didn't know about that. I didn't know that Warren Beatty was so dedicated to holding on to the rights that he's showing up. And what is he in the wheelchair now, showing up and doing this? Like, how is he doing this?
I just remember when it came up, I think I saw it on Twitter, and it's like, have you seen this thing with Warren Beatty dressed up as Dick Tracy? And then I kind of looked into it because of that and was like, oh, it's a rights grab thing. He has to do it to retain the rights.
Warren Beatty, just let it go.
I don't know if he's planning on something bigger. I mean, my God, if he did another movie, I would hope he would cast somebody else in it, but who knows?
Yeah, it would be like watching Bubba Hotep. It would be like a retirement community Dick Tracy movie.
Yeah, I don't know what the reason is behind his retention of the rights, but I know that he does these things to keep them. So
interesting. Well, you know what I'm going to be watching this afternoon?
A Zoom call with Dick Tracy.
That is amazing. You learn something new on Cambridge and with Sean every single time. Yeah. At least I do. I'm learning from you all the time, Mark. Thank you for that.
I might as well talk about the one thing that I retained from when this movie came out, because I have never watched it. I have zero interest in Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see. Again, the special effects makeup is great. The villains look wonderful in the film. The set design and the art design and those primary colors. So that was his big thing, was that everything had to be like it was in the comics.
Yeah.
If you know anything about printing, you know that they use primary colors and a mixture of primary colors via the use of halftones to create the other colors. So you've got red, yellow, and blue?
Yep.
And so everything has to come from that. And that was his dictate for the look of the film, was everything had to,
no pun intended,
to be in primary colors. And that is the only thing that I have kept in my head about that film. Every time I see or hear anything about Dick Tracy, it's like, Oh, yeah. It was shot to look like a comic book in primary colors.
Similarly, Sin City did that too in a different way, black and white.
Right.
With occasional use of color, just like the comic book. And though Sin City is not one of my favorite movies, it's so much fun to watch visually. But that was it. It was super intriguing to me that someone was going that far into the conceptual realm with this, making the special effects makeup being super exaggerated and the set design being exaggerated as far as use of color goes. And all of that was super fascinating to me. And the fact that it actually succeeded in the box office and became kind of an event for people was fascinating to me too, that could actually work. The fact that the Barbie movie worked just blew my mind. Like, I get such delight when things like that actually succeed. The artificiality of it, the eccentricity of each shot, the way it's set up, and the color usage. It's so cool.
Oh, I mean, interestingly enough, it's what kept me from going to see the movie, the look of it, because I can appreciate that, wanting to have such a narrow view to keep it like obviously he's a fan of Dick Tracy. I mean, why else would you do any of this that way?
Right.
And then the other reason was Madonna. I had no interest I had seen a couple of Madonna movies in the 80s, and I'm like, this gal can't act. So I was not interested, mainly because of her.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are many elements of the Dick Tracy movie that make it unwatchable for people who appreciate good acting and appreciate good storytelling. I mean, even Al Pacino is like almost unwatchable in this movie. It's just too much. William Forsythe, on the other hand, and so many of those other character actors, and Dustin Hoffman too, like, do such a great job in that movie, and they're just not being recognized for their small parts, and probably won't ever be. Seymour Cassel is awesome in the movie. Warren Beatty, lackluster. Madonna, lackluster. Al Pacino, cringy. But like all those other character actors that are in it, they're so good. That's really what I want to rewatch the movie for, is just for those characterizations of these oddballs, just to be immersed in that stylized place. I really appreciate a lot of Wes Anderson movies, even the more recent ones that I can hardly follow the plot, but I appreciate them for the visual elements and the stylized nature of them. And Dick Tracy's one of those movies. I just want Warren Beatty to chill out, let us watch it again.
Yeah, and I don't mean to infer that he's the reason it's not available. As far as a rights issue with streaming, it would be more of who owns. Like, it could be, it may have been Fox, but not everything transfers over in that sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it could have been sold later on to some other company, and Disney didn't get that in the Fox purchase or whatever. So I'm not implying that he's holding it up. That's a different thing. His retaining the rights to the character is different than the streaming rights or whatever. And it could be connected. I'm not implying that, though, by saying he's doing these stunts to keep the rights.
Well, I hope there's a documentary one of these days, because Disney
you
had
say
the
that
rights
about all the stuff we talk about. I hope there's a documentary about one plastic rock balls.
I do. I want a documentary about that. I want to see. I'm willing to sit down and spend my entire morning watching this relay of facts that can open up or expose some of these things to us. I would love to know the journey of rights for Dick Tracy, Warren Beatty, Disney, all this stuff like that. That's fascinating to me. How did Disney have the rights for this for that period of time in the 90s? And it's strange.
It's like Time Warner or something owning Marvel at a certain point, or this company owning the stuff that these mega corporations do and buy, and that means that they own this now. Is I can't get into all that stuff. It's just too much,
I love it. I don't know why I love it so much. I just love the drama of it.
It's all just money changing hands as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, it's the creative part of it too is fascinating to me. The money exchange and the rights exchanging and all that stuff. It's like a soap opera, but the creative aspect of all of this, making something like this for an audience or for whatever reason it might be, as a money grab or whatever, but the creation of the stuff is exciting to me. And I haven't been able to find any real in-depth documentaries about the art direction of Dick Tracy, and maybe there's something that I just haven't found yet, the special makeup effects and stuff like that. I'm sure it's out there, and I welcome it all. I want it all to be in one place, one epic documentary made by Werner Herzog. I'm going to do maybe a little video where I look at these action figures and talk about them a little bit. I'm excited to get them out.
You know what? You asked me earlier if I had an update, and I totally forgot that I did. I have a mea culpa in regard to James Bond, and I think I was a little harsh last time. A little kind of knee-jerk reaction in saying that those movies bored the fuck out of me as a kid. In the post-production of that last episode, when we had told our stories about meeting Richard Kiel and him being Jaws, and I thought, it'd be kind of cute to play one of the songs from the 2 movies he was in, which I did for that episode. Yep. And I had totally forgotten that Nobody Does It Better was the theme from The Spy Who Loved Me. And I got to say, that fucking song rules.
Yeah.
I vote for it, and I know it's been called this by certain people. I vote for it as the best James Bond theme. So anyway, it was fun to put that clip in there, and it reintroduced me to that song, which is now on my phone. And then I was looking for clips of Jaws, and I'm like, wait a minute, he doesn't talk, does he? So I got the one line that he speaks at the end of Moonraker and put that in there. And then I thought, well, shit, I might as well watch these 2. So I watched The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker over a couple of days. They're long movies. Why are all the James Bond movies long? See, that's the other thing. I don't even know how they showed them on TV, because that's the only place I ever saw them. Like, did they edit the heck out of them, or were they like 3 hours? Because they're over 2 hours.
They're long. Every James Bond movie is long.
Yeah.
Except for the earlier ones with Sean Connery.
And there's really no reason for them to be that long. There is a lot of padding and filler in these movies. And I only watched 2 of them. But anyway, The Spy Who Loved Me is great. Moonraker is okay. I don't buy Roger Moore as James Bond. I'm going to put that out there right now. Although I do think his fight scenes are good. But as far as the other stuff, like, I'm not buying it. Anyway, we'll talk more about this whenever you talk about it. Yeah, I did enjoy The Spy Who Loved Me quite a bit. Moonraker, like I said, was okay. But it was interesting to me how amazing some of the special effects sequences were.
Yeah.
And how awful other ones were in the same movie.
Absolutely.
The green screen work is horrendous.
Agreed.
Like, miniature work and some of the other things are fantastic.
Oh, in Moonraker, the set design, the miniature sets, like, just over the top gorgeous.
Yeah, and then, it's just funny how widely it just like swings up and down. Like, oh, that's amazing. And Carlita and Cleo were kind of in and out while I was watching them, but I know that Cleo was in the room I think they kind of got into it. So whenever you do James Bond, let me know, because I will probably watch the Roger Moore films.
Yeah.
I'm not watching the Sean Connery films.
I agree that theme song is fantastic. I think some of the best moments in Bond history are the opening music.
Oh, well, I got to say thanks to HD, because as a kid, those opening credit sequences were like, oh, what's this now? Silhouetted naked ladies?
Oh, yeah.
In HD, though, man, you get to see a lot more.
You see a lot more.
And it's wonderful.
It is. And the songs are great, too. And I know a lot of people will, I think a lot of people will fight me on this, but I love the Duran Duran A View to a Kill theme song. And I love that opening sequence. And actually, I love those A View to a Kill and Octopussy are 2 great Roger Moore Bond movies. They're super cheesy and they're a bit of a slog sometimes, but
Yeah.
They're fun. And Christopher Walken in A View to a Kill as the villain, come on, that's amazing stuff. I do have a lot to say about Bond, and I will be getting to him eventually, to all of that, because I did go through a really serious phase of being into James Bond movies, the books.
Oh, I know there are super fans. I follow some people on Twitter that are super fans, and I'm like, it never really clicked for me. But they're not as awful as I kind of made it out.
Yeah.
They didn't stick for me as a kid. I watched a lot of them on TV and never rented them, never kept up with any of that. It was title sequences, the gadgets, the girls, and the songs were pretty much all that made any impact on me whatsoever.
For sure. And that was like the girls, the gadgets, and the songs were like what the Roger Moore era was really all about. All of those movies were so steeped in all of that. The Sean Connery movies are more about aesthetic. And I like that. Anyways, there's a lot. Bond is a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Not to get into all of it, but
we'll save that for future.
I did want to offer my mea culpa on that.
I'm really happy that you went back and revisited those and had that experience in a different way this time. That makes me happy. So now when Dick Tracy starts to stream on Disney Plus, because that's part of the zeitgeist thing that's happening, you're going to end up watching it. It's going to happen to you. You're going to have a day. It's just going to happen. And you're going to watch the first 5 minutes and you're going to be hooked.
Nope.
Yep. And so what else did you want to talk about today, Mark?
I have, let's see, I don't have news. I wanted to talk about some upcoming Mego news, which I think has been touched on probably on some of our episodes. And I know that I've mentioned Migos. I'm not going to talk about them. Maybe we'll start getting there next season.
Yeah.
But there were some recent news items that the guys over at Plaid Stallions, Toy Ventures, whatever, Mego Museum, it's all Brian Heiler or Healer, however he pronounces his name. Mego is teaming up with Walmart to release these figures from Atlas Comics, which was something in the 70s that I have absolutely no awareness of or anything. So they rolled that out at New York Comic Con this last weekend. But in this kind of press release for this, they also mentioned the Marvel Mego figures, which people have been clamoring for ever since Mego, the company, truly came back in 2018. When are you going to do Mego?
Mark meant Marvel. Do these guys know anything?
I kind of figured it's not going to happen. Hasbro has a very tight grasp on Marvel stuff. And then, of course, Disney buys Marvel in the meantime. So they've been working on it and talking to Hasbro, talking to Marvel, and now talking to Disney. So it is happening. Just to give people on here who maybe haven't heard this news, in December of this year, we will get our first Marvel Migos. And the thing is because it's Disney, they will only be sold at Disney theme parks, in Disney stores, and in their online store. You will only be able to get them that way. They're not going to be in Target. They are not going to be in Walmart. They are not going to be in any other brick and mortar stores or on other websites. Like Big Bad Toy Store ain't going to have them. Entertainment Earth ain't going to have them. Nobody else will have them.
Interesting.
They are releasing them as 4-packs. So this first set or wave, I guess we'll call them, comes out in December. And we'll have 4 figures.
Oh.
So they're being vague about all this, of course. From what I understand from watching this YouTube video, they are reproductions of original Mego figures.
Fantastic.
And I say that because one of the people involved with Mego took his original packaging to them to reproduce.
Oh, wow.
So that they could be exact reproductions. And they wouldn't be doing that for new figures. Right. I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, what were the first 4 Mego figures that came out for Marvel? And they were Captain America, Spider-Man, and then a couple years later, they released a bunch in 75, but a lot of them were villains. The 2 heroes after Captain America and Spider-Man were Iron Man and the Hulk.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that first 4-pack will be them, but I don't know. This is pure speculation on my part. they didn't indicate that they were going like in order of the Mego releases. It sort of makes sense for me as far as popularity of characters. I mean, how many movies has Captain America had and been in all the Avengers movies? And they own Spider-Man now. He's one of Marvel's most popular characters, so that makes sense. You know, and Iron Man and Hulk are big parts of the Avengers universe as well. So it kind of makes sense that they would go with those four. I would be really happy with those four, mainly for the Iron Man and Hulk and Spider-Man. Captain America, not so much. So we'll see. I'm assuming they're going to be at least $100 per set, which would be about $25 per figure. They could even be more. We'll see.
Hopefully not. I mean, knowing Disney, it probably will. Yeah. Especially if they're only available through the online Disney store and the Disney parks.
The fact that they're kind of holding on to, you know, they're not going to be wholesaling these to anybody might make them not have to go so high on price. I mean, since they own the rights and they're going to be selling them themselves.
Good point.
It could keep it at the $100 range, but I would think that $25 per figure sounds about right to me. If they're $80, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I would expect them to be $100. So we'll see. Who knows if I'll even try to get them. And then they already have, I believe, 4 more sets set for 2025.
Wow.
Either 4 or 5. I heard different things, like 20 total characters. That would be 5 sets of 4, but the first set releases this year, so that would be 4 more next year. I don't know. So it's either 4 or 5 more sets in 2025. I don't even know. Those will have to get into other figures, I believe, because I don't know that they released that many Marvel. Maybe they did, including the villains. I don't know. I'd have to look at my great Marvel book that I have, or Mego book that I have, that talks about the whole superheroes line. If you're a Marvel Mego fan, good news is finally coming.
I think that's great news, actually, because I love the aesthetic of the Spider-Man and Hulk Mego figures. They're just beautiful. The Iron Man's awesome, too. But those two in particular, I thought it was a pencil topper as a kid. I don't know where I got it from. A little rubber Spider-Man head that I would just like hold. I'm wanting to know if it was, I've seen you have vintage one, right? Or is it the reproduction one?
Oh, there haven't been any reproductions.
But you have one, correct? I feel like I've seen one.
A Mego?
House. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like 6 Mego Spider-Man. They're all original because there haven't been any reproductions, Ronnie. That's what we're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I thought maybe there was like I remember you mentioned.
I mean, there may be bootlegs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The bootlegs. Yeah, I remember seeing the vintage ones at your house, or one of them at least, and thinking maybe I had that little rubber head.
It probably was just a Mego head that someone had pulled off.
To have that figure reproduced to match the vintage version would be amazing. Same thing with the Hulk.
And it's the simpler figures that I really, and we'll get into this at some point, but they're very basic. Hulk and Spider-Man are very basic figures. Iron Man and Captain America. I mean, Captain America's pretty basic too, since he was one of the first, and they hadn't quite gotten elaborate with their costuming and stuff yet. He has more stuff. He's got a shield and whatever. Iron Man's a little, not fancy, but there's more stuff to the Iron Man costume, obviously, than the replication that they created for it is a little wonky. So
yeah. Nice. Wonky is good. That's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what... I'm curious. That's, I think, the key word here is I'm not like, oh, finally, and thank God, and I'll get whatever they create. It's like, I'm curious to see what they release, first of all, and very curious as to the price point and see how it goes. And I mean, we have a Disney store here in the mall. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to be trekking back and forth every day to see if they get them here.
Well... The Disney store's been gone for a bit.
Oh, it has? Oh, okay.
The physical Disney stores...
This shows you how often I go to Fashion Fair.
They've been dismantled.
Okay.
But a lot of that stuff is available online.
Yeah, I've looked at the Disney online store for stuff in the past. And just, I've never purchased anything from there, but... You know, I know that they've got all the Star Wars and Marvel and all this other stuff. And I think, oh, well, I could probably get it from there. Like you mentioned when we were talking before, the Hulk, that kind of retro style 3 3/4. They probably have those.
They probably do. Speaking of that, I saw somebody pick one up from Ross the other day, probably for $3.99. And I'm definitely going to be going to a Ross this week on one of my lunch breaks to try and find one of those, because I love that retro style Hulk design. I have the gray one, but I definitely want the green one. Some of that stuff's so cool, and I'm glad that they're doing that, and I'm glad that they're honoring the original Mego design for that, especially with the packaging too. It's too bad it's December and not November, because the family and I are going right before Thanksgiving to Disneyland.
Yeah, again, from what I culled from that video, Marty Abrams, the president of Mego, will be at, I think, Disneyland to release the figures sometime in December.
Maybe it'll be right around Thanksgiving. It'll be right before December to launch it out, and it'll be perfectly timed with my trip there. And if it is, Mark, I'll get you some signed Mego figures, okay?
I don't think that's going to happen, but...
Here's the Pipe Dreams. Yeah, that's exciting. That's cool.
Yeah, so we'll see how it plays out. I'm curious, like I said.
Yeah, me too.
The world's greatest superheroes. Captain America fighting injustice the world over. Spider-Man, the weird wall climber. Iron Man, power personified. And that fantastic green giant superhero, the Hulk.
The last thing that I'm going to mention today is something I haven't mentioned before, but it kind of goes back to our local locales. Since Disneyland has popped up a few times in conversation today, I thought I'd just talk a little bit about this thing that Fresno had to offer in the early 1900s, and that is Zapp's Park. Remember that bar over there on Olive and, yeah.
That's what I thought you were going to talk about. I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah, well, the bar, I played a couple of shows at that bar. There was a bar on Olive and Blackstone called Zapp's Park back in the 90s and the early 2000s. I played some shows there, and for a while there was a music venue in Fresno where you could see punk shows and whatever. Actually, they let bands play there of all different genres. They had this mural on the wall that was sort of this anomalous nighttime city view, and I was like curious about what, because it didn't quite look like Fresno, but it did. I had heard something about it was named after an amusement park that Fresno had. So I did a little research back then, like the internet was still new. So just did minimal research on this. More recently, I did a lot more. And right around in that area was between the years 1904 to 1917, there was a genuine carnival-esque amusement park right near the Blackstone and Olive area. And it was huge. And it had the first, I'm going to say one of the first, just to be on the safe side, roller coasters in all of California. In fact, all of the West Coast. And it had swimming basins that were just these giant ponds. And it was just a really interesting, cool place. It predates my grandparents, so they had only heard about it. I'd asked them about it, and they'd heard about it, but they didn't get to experience it. 1904 to 1917, that's a long time ago for California, right?
Yeah.
A person who used to work in my office just got a job working for the Parks Department at Fresno, and I was like, if there's anything you take from knowing me, it's this. Talk to them about recreating Zapp's Park for Fresno. Because it would be amazing for the Central Valley to have an amusement park, and it must have been so much fun back then for it to go on roller coasters and merry-go-round and Ferris wheel and take little boats out onto the pond and jump off of decks and swim, and it must have been so much fun. And what an interesting aspect to Fresno history that isn't talked about very much these days.
I think we had at home when I was growing up one of Pop Laval's books of photos, and I remember seeing pictures of it in that.
Yep, that's where all the photos come from, is those Pop Laval history books. And thank goodness for Pop Laval, because like in many ways that information just wouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at those and to think of like what's there now. And sometimes it's hard to reconcile the difference between the pictures and what you know is there now. And
yeah,
Blackstone and Olive, I mean, just think about what's on Blackstone and Olive now. Nothing great.
Yeah, Blackstone and Olive is not a great place. There's some interesting architectural elements of that area. So if you like drive around that area, there's like where the canal goes through that intersection. There's this, I don't know the best way to describe this, shanty town aesthetic happening right where the canal, and there's this building that overhangs it a little bit. It's really fascinating old architecture there that still exists, but it ain't a good part of town. It's not pretty to most folks just driving through, and it would have been right on the outskirts of the downtown area as they were building that up. It would have been the northernmost part of Fresno, actually. And when my grandfather went to Fresno High, that was the northernmost part of Fresno. And he said you could just look out and just see fields and fields and fields. Now it's all built up, and it has been for a very, very long time. So I don't know. For those of you who are from the Fresno area, if you don't know about Zapp's Park, it's a really cool element of our history. Part of me yearns for something like that for Fresnans. We kind of should have. I know that Storyland and Playland are really struggling in substantial ways. Roding Park is probably the closest thing we have to that. It's had its ups and downs over the years.
Again, not a great part of town.
It's not a great part of town. It's had a lot of issues with people behaving badly in there. But the zoo has improved and improved and improved over the years, which gives me hope. The zoo's pretty awesome. I'd like to talk about the zoo down the line as well. Someone that has money and power in Fresno, you should bring Zapp's Park back. Name it Zapp's Park. Make it bigger and better. Put it somewhere that's not...
Another Ronnie Pipe Dream.
Another Ronnie Pipe Dream. That's like what drives me. I don't know if anybody can tell that from listening to this show, but like those pipe dreams really, really keep me going.
They're going to get on that right after that aquarium opens.
The aquarium. It's exactly where I was headed with this right now. Like, we're probably never going to get the aquarium, but if we do, hey, you know what? I will be there on opening day.
They can build Zapp's Park right behind that for you.
That would be amazing. I want to be part of the planning committee, by the way, if anyone's thinking about doing this.
Driving back from that good Target that you've clued me in on, way out on Herndon and 99, driving back to my house from there. And when I did it with Carlita and Cleo last weekend, I was like, this used to all be fig orchards, by the way, mentioning the outward growth and the northern growth of town. It still happens, and it's nothing but house developments and that big shopping center, which I didn't even realize there was a fucking Regal Cinema in there.
Oh, yeah, there's a cinema.
I was like, oh my God, this place is huge.
The ramen place that we go to, Hayashi Ramen, over there on Fowler and Herndon. They opened up a new one over there too.
Yeah.
And there's Five Below, there's a Ross, there's a Target, there's all kinds of stuff out there, but the parking lot and the architecture is so bland.
Yes.
That for anyone driving through would just pass it by and not give it a second thought. There's nothing pleasing about that area. In fact, I'm the only one in our family that likes to go out there.
Yeah.
And I mainly because of that Target. And I found some cool things at that Ross too, by the way.
It does not draw you in. It's just this big long line of stores.
Yeah.
And then some throughout the parking lot are a lot of the eateries and stuff. And it's a weird, I mean, it was busy when we went, but most people were going to Target.
Yeah.
And there was some kind of craft fair or something going on in the parking lot as well. So
they do that about once a week too.
That was where we used to go party in the figs. All that land was orchards. And now it's all gone. For what? For ugly homes and
ugly
Target.
Homes, no amusement park, no aquarium, all boring parking lots with hardly any trees, by the way.
Yes.
In the summer, it's torture, actually, to go there and walk around, and it's not a friendly place to shop. And that's probably part of the reason why that Target is a good destination for toy collectors, because there probably aren't a lot of toy collectors in the Fresno area that feel like driving out to that ugly parking lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I know? I will say, on the way to the Bay Area for our trip this last week, when I found the Chase Cookie Monster, which you can watch that video on my YouTube channel now. Little plug. When we were driving out there, we stopped at the Los Banos. That's my other favorite Target. Just remarkable things. When I go there, I'm so sad. I don't have a lot of money to spend, but it's good. It keeps me in check. But it's nice to know that there are Targets out there that do carry a lot of cool toys. Because sometimes when I go to the regular Targets we go to, it's just like, Where is everything?
Yeah. True.
So Zapp's Park, people. If you have money, you're sitting on a fortune, and you're looking for something to do, make an amusement park for the Central Valley.
For Ronnie.
For me. So, Mark, any other final thoughts?
I just wanted to put it out there that in December, much like last year, we will have 2 episodes. So our normal episode, which I think will be episode 23, because this is episode 22.
Yep.
Will come out on the first Tuesday of December, which I believe is the 3rd.
Yeah.
And then our holiday special, where we talk about all the crap we've bought over the year, will release on Christmas Eve.
That's
so
right.
3 weeks later. Since that's a Tuesday, I just figured, oh, well, that's perfect. So you will be able to listen to it when you're driving disgruntledly to your in-laws' house. You can cheer yourself up by hearing us talk about all the stupid shit we bought over the year.
That's so true. And also, happy post-Halloween, everybody, because Halloween will have just happened.
Yeah.
One of my favorite times of year. I know, Mark, you appreciate it too. And we finally have good weather here in the Central Valley. Thank goodness. So I hope you all had a safe and fun Halloween.
I'm going to make a Bob's Big Boy pumpkin.
Oh, that's genius.
I got a stencil online, and I'm going to do it. And I hope I don't fuck it up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I got to think carefully about that, too. We've already done our Halloween decorating, but carving pumpkins, we haven't done that for a while. That's inspirational. Thank you, Mark.
Mm-hmm. All right, take us out, dude.
All right, so remember, until we meet again, have fun, stay weird, and keep collecting.
And keep listening, and if you listen to our stupid show, we might hit 1,000 plays finally by the end of the year as well. So
what? That's amazing. That's big.
We'll get 3 episodes in before the end of the year, so it could just happen.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Cambridge and Rashawn is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
Wow, this has just been such a pleasure. I'm such a lucky boy. I can't wait to go home and